again to my channel. Today I'm going to answer some of the most frequently asked questions I get about my career and my thoughts on law. So as some of you know, I'm actually a lawyer, and I have stated before that my YouTube channel is my creative outlet to do all the other things that I love, like fashion, beauty, and just, you know, things that I've loved doing and I continue to love doing despite what my vocation is. I do want to help you guys out, however, and I have decided that once in a while I will be responding to your most frequently asked career related questions. I have a list here of questions and I'm going to run through them. The first question is tips for getting work experience from law firms or chambers. I would say that you definitely need to make your application, so sending your application online, in person, by however means you've been asked to do it. But make sure that your application is not generic. Make sure it's specific. Avoid copy and pasting. You can't do the same application form for every company. You have to tailor it, and it does, I'm afraid, require quite a bit of work, quite a bit of research. And I would also say that you should learn how to network. So I remember that one of my first things that made me decide to go into law was actually speaking to one of my business teachers in secondary school, who happened to be a former lawyer. I don't even know how that worked out, I've forgotten her story. And she was telling me, oh, like, you seem quite businessy but you hate math, so maybe you could do like business law. I was like, yeah. And she told me more about it, and she gave me tips on, you know, how to apply and how to actually speak to people and just get them to want to respond to you. And that's where networking comes in. So if I hadn't spoken to my business law teacher about what I thought I wanted to do, I probably wouldn't be where I am. I probably would be a banker or something, which is not a bad idea. But networking is really important, because, and you can network anywhere. So for instance, my first proper professional job after law school wasn't actually in a law firm, it was in a consulting firm, but I got the job by talking to one of the recruiters who I met at a house party while I was making jollof rice, random. So I hope that was helpful to answer that first question. The second one is how to demonstrate that you have passion. If you don't have passion, you can't demonstrate it. So if you're not that passionate about a career in whatever career you want to do, not particularly law, it's hard for you to fake the funk, really. So if you're interested in something, you'll do your research, you'll keep up with the news, you will find out more about the circumstances surrounding that industry, what are the latest updates, and these are the things that will give you a heads up and, you know, give you pointers for the type of things you should include in your application forms. Or if you do happen to meet someone who works in that industry, you can have like a reasonable conversation with them and they'll be quite impressed. Like, I met, you know, one of my interns the other day and we were just having a chat. Like I say, you guys know me, I'm really easygoing, like I don't just talk officey stuff all the time. And she's quite young and she was just talking generally about some of the legal things that are happening around like the city in London. And I was just like, well done, I can see how you got a job here. So the next question is how to get a training contract. Unfortunately, I cannot give you a definite answer to how to get a training contract. I think that inevitably you're going to have to work extremely hard. You're going to have to put the fact that there's so much competition behind you, and if it's something that you really want to do, just keep going. Like, if the rejection emails come in, just ignore them. Don't even read the whole thing, because that can really get you disheartened. But if you think about the context, like in England alone, and I understand the same as I understand that it's the same thing in America, there's so many people going after legal jobs. It's just so hard, and not just in the legal industry, so many people chasing too few jobs. So if you've done the best that you can do and you're satisfied in your heart that you've done the best that you can do, just leave it. This is why it's so important that you work really hard at your application, so you're not like, oh, I forgot to put that example, or I forgot to mention this thing in the interview, etc. It's the most sensible thing to do in this legal market or this general market is to have a contingency plan. So plan B was for me to be a consultant if the whole legal thing didn't work out. Plan C was to be an investment banker, because I know that the kind of skills I have will transfer very well to those type of industries. So I would say that any sort of experience that you can get will be very useful in helping you to secure a training contract. Even if you're like a bartender or you work in retail like I did for like years. I worked in Topshop, which is why I have so much love for that company. I had one of the best times, my best working experiences working for the Arcadia Group. And those type of experiences will be very useful for you because you have something to talk about in your application forms, because they always ask you things like, tell me about a time when you did this, or tell me about a time when you handled conflict, and those type of things. You need to have concrete examples. So best of luck, guys. Should I go to law school? Again, this kind of ties up to my last point about training contracts. Because it's so hard to get a training contract, you really have to think carefully about whether you want to pay that money to go to law school. I don't know how much law school was. It was about 11,000 or something. The difference is, if you have a training contract, most firms would pay for you to go to law school. But if you don't have a training contract, you have to pay for that yourself, and there's still no guarantee after law school that you will get one. So I decided not to take the risk, and I worked in industry. I worked for about a year. So I worked in 2 professional services firms. I worked as a consultant. No, I didn't work as a consultant. I worked with consultants, and I also worked in marketing because I just kind of wanted something to do after uni. So my experience is, it's better not to go to law school without being sponsored for your training contract. But hey, if you have the money and it's a risk that you want to take, of course go for it. But for me, I just didn't want to take the risk. What does a business lawyer do is another question that I asked. Very simply, a business lawyer does things like arranging mergers and acquisitions. So if one company wants to buy another company, they do that. There's so many fields of business law. There's corporate, there's dealing with financial institutions, setting up funds. I'm not going to go into deep on this channel. This is all getting a bit too complicated. So I would say, again, this is where research comes in. Google is your best friend. Next question was, do you need to have a postgraduate degree to get into law? You don't need to have a postgraduate degree. You can just do an undergrad. I had a postgrad just because I got offered a scholarship, but if I didn't have the scholarship, I wouldn't have actively pursued a postgrad. Actually, I lie. I would have pursued a postgrad, but I would have done it in LA because I really wanted to live in LA, and I figured the only way I could do that was to do a master's in law. So I would have done a postgrad just to get an experience of living in America. You guys know me, that I love to travel, so that's the only reason why I would have done it. But you really don't need a postgrad for a law career. And yeah, I think those are the questions. Those are the main ones that keep popping up. I hope that was helpful, and I'm sorry I couldn't go into like super detail. And you will find so many other resources that can help you. I will put links to some of those websites that I mentioned earlier, and I hope that that was useful. So best of luck. And for those people who are looking for training contracts, it didn't happen to me like that. I had to work for it, and yeah, things do work out in the end. So you never know. Actually, I have one of my really good friends who I will ask and see if he will be in a video of me, although I think the answer will be no, to talk about his experiences, because he was also looking for a training contract. We went to law school together, and now he works in consulting and he loves it, and I'm actually really jealous of his job because he gets to travel all over the world and stuff. So that's it, guys. Thank you for watching, and back to the usual program after this video. So I'll be back to my fashion and beauty and stuff. But if you have any questions, don't forget you can always reach me on, I don't know why I have a sing-song voice. If you have any questions, you can always reach me on Facebook or Twitter or below, and if they're law related, I will amalgamate all of them, and whenever I do a next one of these videos, I will hopefully answer your question. Thanks for watching. Bye.